Hey guys, tonight we're setting sail into waters colder, saltier, and more vengeful than your last relationship. The story of whales that fought back and won. Not the cartoon kind. Not the majestic, save the whales posters. I'm talking about the real, barnacle-crusted titans of the deep, who got tired of being stabbed by wooden boats full of sweaty men and decided, quite logically, to return the favor. Before we dive in, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy this kind of thing. I won't guilt you into it. I'm not a sea captain, just someone trying to keep you entertained while you fall asleep without having nightmares about blubber. Alright, dim the lights. Let the sound of your fan pretend it's the ocean. Get comfortable. Now let's ask the important questions. What did it feel like to chase a creature smarter than most of your crew? Could you survive months at sea, eating salted pork and regret, surrounded by people who hadn't bathed since last Christmas? And when a whale the size of a house rammed your ship to splinters, did anyone stop to think, maybe the whales got a point? Congratulations, you've just woken up in the early 1800s aboard a whaling ship out of Nantucket. The air smells like tar, smoke, and damp hope. You're here to make your fortune by turning whales into oil. But tonight, the ocean has other plans. The age of harpoons. You stand barefoot on the creaking deck. The horizon is infinite. Somewhere out there is your paycheck, and it's breathing. The 19th century whaling industry wasn't a quaint coastal trade. It was the energy sector of its time. Whale oil-powered lamps in London, lubricated machines in New York, and made investors in Nantucket very smug. At its peak in the 1840s, America alone had over 700 whaling ships roaming the oceans. Each voyage could last 4 years, covering every corner of the map and leaving a trail of floating carcasses behind. It's hard work, it's dangerous, and it smells like boiled despair. The process goes like this. Spot a whale. Chase it in a rowboat the size of a bathtub. Stab it with a spear tied to a rope. Then hold on while it drags you halfway to nowhere. If you survive, you spend the next few days turning a majestic, intelligent creature into lamp fuel. The decks become slick with blood and oil. The sea boils with fat. And somewhere below the surface, the other whales are watching, learning. This was an industry powered by optimism, ignorance, and blubber. The captains wrote home about profit. The sailors just tried to stay alive. The smell of burning whale oil clung to everything, your clothes, your hair, your soul. Yet, for all the chaos, the men believed they were in control. They thought they ruled the sea. But the ocean was listening, and it was about to send a very large reminder that hubris doesn't float. Segment 2. When the whales fought back. Our story begins with a whale named Mocha Dick, a name that sounds like a 19th century insult but was actually the terror of the South Pacific. He was a 70-foot albino sperm whale, his skin white as wool, his head armored with barnacles, his blowhole roaring like a steam engine. To sailors, he looked like a ghost rising from the deep, an omen of death, and probably a reason to update one's will. For nearly 30 years, Mocha Dick fought back against the whalers who hunted him. He destroyed boats, snapped harpoon lines, and allegedly sank over 20 whaleboats. Sailors swore he carried the remains of dozens of old harpoons embedded in his flesh, rusted metal trophies of battles survived. But here's the part that really messes with people. When left alone, Mocha Dick was calm, gentle even. He swam peacefully alongside ships like a floating cathedral. But the moment someone threw a harpoon, everything changed. He turned into a torpedo with teeth. It's entirely possible, scientists now say, that whales like Mocha were fully self-aware. Sperm whales have the largest brain of any animal on Earth. They form tight family groups, communicate through complex clicking dialects, and likely remember the faces of those who harmed them. So when Mocha attacked, it might not have been instinct. It might have been revenge. His legend spread from the coasts of Chile to taverns in Nantucket. For whaling captains, hunting him became a test of manhood. For sailors, it was a death sentence with good storytelling potential. Mocha Dick's end came in 1838, after decades of surviving every harpoon humanity could throw. According to an eyewitness account by explorer Jeremiah Reynolds, Mocha died not while fleeing, but while defending another whale, a mother mourning her slain calf. He charged the attackers head on. They struck back. When they finally dragged his body ashore, they found 19 harpoon heads buried in his flesh. He yielded 100 barrels of oil, double the normal yield for a whale his size. But what the whalers didn't realize was that Mocha's death would make him immortal. A young writer named Herman Melville read Reynolds' story and combined it with another true event, the 1820 sinking of the whaling ship Essex, rammed and destroyed by an enraged sperm whale. From these two tales, he created Moby Dick, the great white whale who turned literature and humanity's conscience upside down. And from then on, whales were no longer seen as mindless beasts. They became something else, symbols of mystery, memory, and cosmic justice. Segment 3, The Whale's Victory Lap. You'd think humans would have learned. They didn't. Even after Mocha Dick, whaling exploded into a global industrial machine. Harpoons turned explosive. Ships became factories. By the mid-20th century, humans had killed nearly 3 million whales, a number so massive that parts of the ocean actually fell silent. But the whales weren't finished. Their final revenge wasn't a dramatic attack, it was survival. Whales began to rebound just as the industry collapsed under its own greed. The oil market shifted to petroleum, public opinion shifted to compassion, and science started proving what old sailors had only suspected. Whales are not just animals, they're civilizations that sing. Some species, like the humpback, began returning in droves. Others, like the sperm whale, remained elusive, ghosts of a time when humanity thought it could conquer the sea. But the story doesn't end in the Pacific. Centuries earlier, in the Byzantine Empire, Emperor Justinian faced his own whale nemesis, Porphyrios, the Purple Emperor of the Sea. For 50 years, this creature terrorized ships near Constantinople, ramming vessels, sinking warships, and humiliating the empire's mighty navy. The emperor himself ordered the beast's destruction, but Porphyrios eluded every trap. He was too fast, too clever, and frankly, too majestic to care. Eventually, the whale met his end, not in battle, but by accident. Chasing dolphins too close to shore, he became stranded in the mud and was hacked apart by terrified villagers. Even in death, people whispered that it wasn't truly him, that somewhere in the dark water, the Emperor of the Sea still lived. From Porphyrios to Mocha Dick, from the Essex to Moby Dick, one truth surfaces. The ocean doesn't play by human rules. We can burn its oil, poison its surface, and map its depths, but the sea always remembers. And the whales, they forgive us by simply continuing to exist. Now, as you lie there, listening to the quiet hum of your fan, remember that the deep is still alive, ancient, patient, and slightly amused that we ever thought we were in charge. The whales fought back, and somehow, they won.